Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. The Daily Beast reports, no shocker, that William and Kate will not meet with Harry when he comes to the UK next week. A friend of the Waleses tells the Beast both sides understand each other's position clearly now. William and Catherine felt completely betrayed by Harry's memoir. They don't speak to Harry and Meghan, and they are certainly not about to start when Catherine is at her most vulnerable. Another friend is quoted as saying, Harry is just another person who sold his story to the papers. A get-well-soon message is neither here nor there, but the whole situation doesn't use up a huge amount of their mental energy anymore. William and Kate have accepted it and moved on. Cancer puts things in perspective. William respects his father's wish to reconcile with his son, but his focus now is on protecting his family from stressful situations. King Charles is said to be too busy to meet with Harry. Next Wednesday, the King will have his weekly audience with the Prime Minister before attending the first Buckingham Palace garden party of the season. The King also has various appointments and engagements scheduled for the rest of the week, none of which could be moved by 15 minutes to meet with his son. After all, who does Charles think he is? The King? Royal commentator Kinsey Schofield told Fox News Digital, there will be no senior members of the royal family to support Prince Harry. Prince Harry is suffering the consequences of his actions. Harry does not take responsibility for the tsunami of hurt he has caused his family. The King sees this very clearly. Harry is still under the impression that he has not done anything wrong by purging family secrets for paychecks. The delusion concerns everyone that used to be close to Harry. The King is happy to spend time with his youngest son, but will remain guarded to protect the people that he loves and who have shown him unconditional loyalty. Harry will always have access to his father, but the trust is long gone. The King returned to work on Tuesday, visiting a hospital and specialist cancer centre in London. Charles and Camilla smiled and waved to onlookers as they greeted staff. Charles spoke with a fellow cancer patient and said, it's always a bit of a shock, isn't it, when they tell you? I've got to have my treatment this afternoon as well. Despite the optimism around the King's return to work, Tom Sykes reports that work has been going on to update Operation Menai Bridge. Speculation has been growing in British society about the severity of the King's condition. The King's prognosis is a matter of public interest given his role as the leader of a hereditary monarchy. Insiders have revealed that not only are Charles' funeral plans, codenamed Operation Menai Bridge, being regularly updated, but a lessons learned document reviewing the Queen's funeral is also circulating in Whitehall. Friends and family and insiders are distraught at the prospect of losing the King sooner than expected, but they remain optimistic about his determination to beat the illness. Sources have indicated that the King is receiving regular radiotherapy treatment in London, suggesting a significant health concern. The circulation of the Menai Bridge document has focused minds, with one former staffer saying the plans have been dusted off and are actively being kept up to date. It's no more than what you would expect given the King has been diagnosed with cancer. Military sources have emphasized the scale and complexity of planning a state funeral, with multiple regiments, security operations and VIPs to consider. The Earl Marshal, Edward FitzAlan Howard, the Duke of Norfolk, is responsible for coordinating the event. While the British press has been relatively silent on the matter due to strict rules governing medical privacy, some foreign media have dropped hints about the King's health and the potential impact on the royal succession. Royal expert Katie Nicholl told Entertainment Tonight, there have been claims in some media outlets that the King is not doing well in his cancer battle. I think the announcements out of the palace and the King's imminent return to public duties should stop such nonsense in its track, quite frankly. My sources have been telling me that the King has been responding very positively to his medical treatment, that his medical team are very pleased with his progress. I think that the news that we hear out of the palace really supports all of that because he's coming back to work. Palace Intrigue will be right back. Some royal watchers are wondering if Meghan is snubbing Lilibet. Style expert James Harris explained to GB News. Meghan's trilogy engagement ring, wedding band and eternity rings are her jewellery staples. Harris notes that her eternity ring represents multiple people, with a stone representing a family member with their respective birthstones, her with a green peridot, Harry with a blue sapphire, and their son Archie with a green emerald. However, many asked, where's Lilibet's stone? Why didn't she get that updated along with her engagement ring? Sophie has become the first member of the royal family to visit Ukraine since the Russian invasion. During her trip, Sophie talked to survivors of sexual violence and torture and heard from children who had been returned to Ukraine after being forcibly separated from their families. According to royal author Ingrid Seward's book, My Mother and I, the late Queen's former dresser, Angela Kelly, reportedly faced the wrath of then Prince Charles over photos he deemed inappropriate of his mother. The pictures, which were included in Angela's 2019 book, The Queen, the Dresser and the Wardrobe, showed Elizabeth posing with her hands in her pockets, an unusual stance for the monarch. In the book, Angela explained, Her Majesty started striking a series of poses, slipping her hands in and out of her pockets and placing them onto her hips, mimicking the stance of a professional model. However, Charles was less than pleased with the images. Seward wrote, It was enough to incur Charles' wrath. He thoroughly disliked what he considered was taking advantage of her good nature. It has been suggested that Charles and Angela often had a strained relationship. Following the Queen's death, Angela was required to vacate her cottage in Windsor Home Park, reportedly at Charles' request. According to the book Courtiers by Valentine Lowe, the powers that be were not terribly keen on Kelly continuing to occupy her grace and favour home, and negotiations ensued in which it was suggested that the King would buy her a home near Sheffield to be near her grandchildren. An insider quoted in the book stated, Angela wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but nevertheless the King had no wish to see her homeless. I get the impression that the King just didn't want to be living next door to her. And there you have it. Hey, if you'd like to hear Palace Intrigue commercial free, you can now get us on Apple subscriptions. Look for that banner up there. It says Listen Uninterrupted, and you can hear this show commercial free along with several others from Calaroga Shark Media. And you can try it for free for 1 month. Just hit that button on your Apple app that says Listen Uninterrupted. And keep following us on Apple and Spotify or your app of choice. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue and good times.